This is a 1987 Cornish crabber, actually built in '86, but it's an '87 model. And we're just going to do a quick walkthrough. The boat has been here for about 5 years. This is 2016, this is 2010 sticker. So we've had it in our yard for at least 5 years. Dark green hull. This is all sea-tall. There's going to be sea-tall that needs to be redone on the top. And when we look at the hull, you'll see that it's faded, but this color, green, will actually come back. So if we see here, we have a faded spot. And I'm just going to rub it by hand. We'd actually do this with a machine. But this is just to show that it'll come back. We've buffed this boat before, but if it sits out all summer, it'll fade if it's not waxed. It hasn't been really waxed for a couple years. But the boat has been covered in the winter, but over time it does fade. So here you can see that's just done by hand, and that's comes right back shiny. The hull is a solid hull. There's no core in this hull, so we put a moisture meter anywhere on the boat, it's going to come out dry. This is all in the green area, which is showing that it's dry. We can't really do the bottom because the black paint will set off the moisture meter. Black paint in particular will do that, but we'll do the deck as well. So let's just do a walk around. Here's the port side. It has bilge keels. Bottom doesn't have too much bottom paint built up on it, but it's okay. Transom looks good. Boat's name is Atropos. Two-bladed prop. And same deal on this side. It's still faded, but it'll come back. And there are no major scratches or dings. There's a little something going on there, but it's very minor. No apparent damage on the bottom. Nothing on the bow. No dings out of the wood. The trailer itself is galvanized. It's a heavy-duty trailer for the size of the boat. It has galvanized axles and galvanized rims, and it has the buddy bearing style grease. If I were hauling this across country, I would replace the tires. It would just be prudent. Maybe if you were launching local, it would be okay, but I would replace them. You can see there's some cracks here. The lights are still on it. We have not tested the lights recently, but everything is there. The trailer plate holder is still there. The bunks look okay. So overall, with just a checkup, I think this trailer could easily do across country. We're going to go up above now and take a look at the decks. The decks will be dirty and it'll have varnish that needs to be done. That wasn't sea-tall up there, that was varnish that should be redone. But we'll take a look and see the conditions of the decks. The deck is all fiberglass and it has a core. I'm not sure what it is. It could be balsa or plywood. And we have a plastic hammer and a moisture meter. We're going to test the decks. So coming up from the very bow, when we run the moisture meter, it's showing dry. This is solid here, so that won't be an issue. These are all coming dry. There's actually right there, it shows a little bit in the yellow, but I think it's because it's wet on the surface from leaves. Okay, so that's all dry. So we're going to take the plastic hammer. We're going to listen for noises. This is normal. This is not normal. Well, that's like that. Like that kind of noise versus that. So here we go. So those are all dry. We're going to go over here. That section all shows dry. Again, we're listening for something that's more like that. This is not cord. I'm going to go right here. Shows dry in front. Now I know we're going to get a wet reading right here. It shows moist, moist, and here it's pegging it. But it's kind of a mystery why, because there's no penetrations here. So we're going to try it with a hammer. Again, it shows wet, but there's no delamination. It's an area right about like that big. I have no idea why, because there's no penetration here, and it's actually dry around the penetrations, well, moist. But usually those would be very wet if that was a source. So here we have a track. This is dry. That's okay. Behind it, in front of the combing, is dry. That's good. Behind the combing, it's dry. I'm going to go to the other side of the boat. This is showing wet. It's not delaminated, but you can see, you can hear a little bit of difference, and you can see the moisture going off. Whether that's a problem or not, I don't know, but that could be cut out and redone if it had to be, or just leave it alone. And undoubtedly it'll be the same in front of it. It's probably coming from this, so that should be taken off and rebedded. This is showing wet, now dry. So some area right here is showing wet. So somewhere from here to here is showing penetration, which has got to be this. So that should be taken off and rebedded. And it is a little bit more of a hollow sound there. So this would be a future candidate for taking this one whole section out and rebedding it, recoring it. Let's check this side. This is dry, dry, dry. A little bit moist right there. But that's a very small area. That seems to be all right. So the area I'm standing on right here shows wet. Whether that means anything, I'm not sure. This is the tabernacle, and that looks to be good. It's galvanized and it's all dry around. It's all solid fiberglass. Let's look at the cockpit. Dry, 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 dry. That feels like it's solid fiberglass. Okay, dry. This is all dry. Usually hatches are wet because of the hinges, but these are okay. Hinges are on the sides, they're solid, but smart. They're going to give a different noise because they're hollow and looks like it's a very thin core. Okay. And then we have the engine hatch itself here, and that's showing wet. It sounds wet. So we'll take it up. Okay, if you want to come around this way, we'll shoot the bottom. Okay, the core in here is wet. So we're seeing a pegging of the meter here. So this section here, typical of a hatch like this, you would cut that out from the bottom and put another piece of plywood in and reglass it. So that's, but let's just see how strong it is. It actually still has the strength, but it does show wet. It's not mission critical, but it's something smart to do. The cockpit sole with the boards lifted is dry all throughout. There's an inspection plate there. That's all dry. That's good. A lot of times floors are wet, that isn't. That's all pretty solid. Again, that has the cockpit sole that simply just goes down on it. It's a self-basic transmission on it, and an easy engine to rebuild if you needed to, but the engine does run, and that can be done during a mechanical inspection. There's room for 2 batteries. I see that there is a primary fuel filter there. Looks like the little copper hose on it's slightly kinked. I'd replace that. There's a big bilge pump right here, and there's also a sea strainer under there and a seacock. So it's easy to work on. It's a basic engine, but they're well known in this area. Back hatch is dry. And we are showing some moisture on the very, very back. So we'll take a look at that. That seems to be okay. And it's a box in here, so that's going to be hollow. What's behind it might be just this. That I can't get to, so that's probably got condensation behind it. Good. The cleats here are a little loose, so these should be taken off and just redone. And probably take them off to clean them anyway. But they unscrew. They can come right off. The floor on these boats are cast iron on top of fiberglass that work like ballast. And there's one section up here where water probably sat that needs to be ground down and re-puttied. And they had a rubber coating put on top as a non-skid. So that actually should be ground down and fixed. But the rest of it all looks pretty good. It all looks decent. So that must be a low point in the boat. Inside, the wood looks okay. The serial number shows number 323, built in December of 1986, so it is an 87 model. So we have a support here with, looks like there's maybe that's metal where we were reading before, but I kind of doubt that. There's a shelf forward. There is a stove right here, 2-burner gimbaled alcohol Origo stove. Sails are in decent shape. Settees are full length, you can lie in them. He has teak slats on the side. It has a basic electrical panel and engine controls down here. The trunk here is where the centerboard is, and we'd have to lift the boat to see that. The V-berth area looks clean. There's a place for a marine head there, and a filler for the V-berth. What we're looking at here is the bowsprit. That looks like it's in decent shape. There's some various canvas on board, and there's a storage locker all the way forward. It's a pretty neat interior, and it will clean up well if you do the little piece on the floor there. Everything else is okay. I mean, this shows some wear, but this table can be redone pretty easily. The table could come out and be, this whole thing comes out and slides, you see. So that could come out and be redone in your garage. In fact, most of the wood in here could come out if you wanted to. There are some other interesting things, like there's a piece here, and that, I believe, holds the fire extinguisher. I'm not quite sure where that sits, but there's a section there. And we have a tiller down here and some other parts and pieces. There's an older battery charger. But overall, the boat it's decent, and I'm 6'2", and I just about have sitting headroom, so it's okay. It'd be comfortable. Just a bunch of little parts and pieces. A tricolor for the mast. Handbar colored sails here. And we can lay those out on the lawn and take another video of that at some point. But the inside is okay. We could probably spend a lot of time showing some cool stuff on the boat, but there's little things like this which are kind of neat. There's a piece that comes in. It has the GPS and the compass and the depth sounder, and it plugs into here. So that's kind of neat. It's an older GPS, but it's about the same size as a modern one, and this is an old standard Horizon here. Whether it works or not, I don't know, but it's the same size as the newer ones, so you can put that in its place. The spar, when it first got here, was in super shape, but it sat out in the sun for a couple summers when we uncovered it, and there was no one to varnish it, but it can come back. But you're going to need to strip it to revarnish it. It seems to be in good shape. I was going to say solid, but it's actually, I think, hollow. It looks like laminated. It's laminated. You can see the marks where it's laminated. But overall, it's in good shape. It just needs to be revarnished. This seems to be all right up there. Hard to tell with the metal in there, makes different noise, but it is light, so someone could put it up on the tabernacle without a lot of effort. So in summary, the things you're going to want to do, besides you're going to polish it, you're going to do the varnish on the top, probably do that in Cetal. On the other side, you'll take out the combing and reseal that at the very minimum. Maybe down the road you might recore that area, maybe not. The trailer, you're going to replace the tires on, and you're going to service the axles. The engine you'll run and make sure it's okay. There are no batteries in the boat now, but we can use one of ours to test it. And you'll revarnish the spar, and on the floor on the inside where the cast iron is, you'll grind that down, refinish it, and maybe put another rubber coating on it. And then the rest is basically just cleanup, and I think you should be okay.